and welcome to Art with Recycled Materials. So what we're going to do today is go through all of our recycling, our bits of rubbish that we've got lying around the house, and we're going to turn them into an artwork. See what I've been eating in lockdown. We're going to start with finding a nice big piece of cardboard in your recycling or something, or a piece of paper or cardboard. This is your background. So the theme of the artwork today is nature. Some of the things that I've been seeing are a lot of birds, so that's kind of inspiring me today. The theme being a bird in nature. So some of you may have seen ducks, tuis, pigeons, or you might have remembered something that you've seen in the past. Now I've got a beautiful memory of seeing some gorgeous swans on a lake, and so that's what I'm going to be using for my bird today, is a swan. So your first step was to collect up some materials. So you can see I've got a few things around here, and we're going to start off with our subject. So the subject being the bird, and mine is going to be a swan. I want you to draw your bird, whatever type of bird that you've got. Make sure you don't draw it too big or too small. If this is your background, you don't want your bird to be a tiny little speck. Alright, so think about the size. Your bird should be about a third of the size of the page. So if this is your page, your bird needs to be about this big, okay? So make sure your bird is a reasonable size. We also don't want the bird filling up the whole page because we want to put some landscape in there. So there we are, there's my swan, and we're going to cut that out is the next thing you're going to do. So just cut that out of your paper or cardboard or whatever you decide to make it out of. Now you can see that I chose white for a white piece of cardboard for my bird because it's a white swan. If you are using white, you can always add other colours onto the top and then start gluing things on. So we're just going to cut around our outline there. Now if you are doing this and you're struggling with the scissors part of things, see if you can get someone else to maybe just come and give you a hand cutting it out, because it can be a little bit tricky, can't it, working with the scissors with the detail. So you might have done a beautiful detailed drawing and then you can't, the scissors just go wild on the page. So maybe there might be someone else around who you can help with that part of things, because otherwise you can end up a little bit tricky cutting out all those details, and it is nice to get those details if you can. If you can't, do your best, and if you cut the head off we can always glue it back on, right? Okay, so there is my swan. How'd you go with yours? Have you managed to cut yours out? Looking good. We're going to start to create the environment around the swan. So the swan usually likes to live around water, so if you've picked a duck or a swan or something that likes to be around water, a seagull, then this is where you're going to start creating some water areas down here with some of your recycled materials. If you have picked a bird that likes to live in the forest, then you're going to have to start working on some dirt, ground, or something like forest in this kind of area. What colours do we need here for water? Usually some blues. So I've got some of this blue plastic, which I think will be quite nice to create some water. And also the other thing which is quite nice is to add a little bit of this, what's on the inside of here, the silvery stuff on the inside of the old Doritos packet. So we're just going to chop that open so we can start layering up our details, so you can sort of get a little bit of watery look here. The other material which we could use, that some of you might have as well, for water, tin foil is quite good as well. So we can just pop that on there. And the nice thing about tin foil is you don't even have to glue it. So what I'm going to do is just going to sort of scrunch that up We always put tin foil, we have tin foil in our recycling, and we can just wrap that tin foil around the back of your page there. That is why the tin foil is a little bit easier to work with than the Doritos packet. That's why I just switched over. So you don't really even need a lot of glue on that piece. So there we've got our kind of watery look, and we're going to add over that some of these other lovely things. Now I've also got these bread bags here. We've got a lovely blue colour. So you're going to look through your materials that you've got, your recycled materials, and you can start to cut out some of those colours that look good and kind of fit the scene that you're wanting to create there. Start creating some layers in our water here, and then we're going to you've got some glue, hopefully you can start gluing these pieces together. So just get your glue, get creative. We can just glue on. I'll also have some of this bubble wrap stuff, which is quite cool, and I think that's going to add a really nice texture as well. So I'm going to add a little bit of that, a few little bits of this. And it's nice to be able to make something beautiful out of something that was just going to go into the rubbish bin or into the recycling bin. So that's what this kind of artwork is all about, is just using materials, reusing materials. And then I'm just going to put this sort of finishing layer over the top here. So a bit of glue, our water. There we go, so you can see all the different layers that we put on there. I'm just going to add some really cool texture and stuff to it. So we've got our swan, she's going to go in there. Now we need to jazz her up a bit, she's looking a bit plain. So we're going to do the same thing with our swan. We're going to start to create some layers on her body and get her not so flat, because at the moment she's a flat piece of cardboard, not very exciting. So I found some old bit of baking paper here. So what we can do is you can rip it up, you could scrunch it up, start to create some interesting shapes to glue onto her body here. So we want to kind of create some cool textures. The other thing, so you can sort of fold it, ruffle it up and glue it on. I think that looks quite nice. If you're using sellotape, that's fine as well, just tape everything together. We're trying to create a bit of volume. You can see there she's got a little bit more volume in her feathers now, so that's looking nice. So just by scrunching up the paper like that and ripping it, we get that volume, which is going to look really nice for her. Good. Alright. Now the other thing I like is this clear plastic as well. So I wonder if we can use that to just sort of add a bit of zhuzh to her feathers. Oh no, there we go, there we are. That's nice. We're going to have to deal with the neck. But I think I'm just going to keep with the bubble wrap because I've already used it there, it looks quite nice. So, but I'm going to use this other side because we can see the little bubbles. And if we want to get the same shape, we're just going to pop it on top there. And then we can trace around our shape to give us an idea of what shape we need to be cutting out. So like that. There's a bit of a guide there. Again, if you need someone to help you with the cutting, just pull out, get someone to give you a hand with that chopping out, or otherwise give it a go yourself. Might be a bit rough, but that's okay. There we go, there's a little neck there. Glue her together. Now we have to think about the beak as well, don't we? So the swan has got that beautiful beak, different coloration around the eye. They often have they'll often have a little black area around or an orange beak. So looking through my materials, oh look, there's a little bit of orange here on the family potato bag. So we'll just cut a little beak out of there. Put that on there. And we need an eye, usually sort of a black colour. What's on there? Bit of black on my bread bag. There we are, there's our swan. Wow. Looks so beautiful on there. Look at that. I'm gonna stick it in the middle there. Now, do we want her head poking out on the background? Because if we do, then we really need to think about, we don't want to stick it down too tight because we're gonna have to put some background in behind there. Should have thought about that actually, shouldn't we? Whoops, oh well. There we go, she's looking nice on there. Are you gonna have a nighttime sky? You're gonna have a daytime sky, and that's really gonna affect what you put in the background, or you're gonna have a sunset. Or you could just go with beautiful bright colours, whatever you want to do, or it might depend on what materials that you've got available to you. So for me, I'm going to go with, I think I might actually use the tin foil again, or that Doritos packet again, and give it that lovely shiny sky, and then put a few clouds on the top of that. So I'm going to put that on. So I think that'll be nice, but you might have your own idea of what you want for the background. But I think that actually looks really, really cool. So this stuff is a little bit trickier, it doesn't really like the glue, so we've got a bit of tape as well to get that stuck down, the Doritos packet. I'm going to create a few little clouds to go in there. I think I'm going to use the baking paper again. Just going to rip that up, scrunch it up. It's different when you scrunch it. So before we folded it, didn't we, to get that texture for the bird on the wing there. But this time to create a cloud, we're actually going to do a different thing. We're going to scrunch it and create a different texture. So again, that's what we're looking for in our materials, is to kind of create different textures on there. So that looks like a beautiful cloud. Let's glue that down. Nice. There's often a lot of plant material on the legs. So we're going to need a bit of green. So let's have a look through what we've got. We've got the green on there that we could use. We've got the green on the Doritos packet. So to create some reds, I'm just going to cut these into some grass shapes. So we're cutting little triangles out of the plastic, the foil, kind of like that, and it's sort of cool how it moves around as well. So we're going to add some of this into the foreground or the front of our artwork. Or we might mix it up with a little bit of this colour here as well. It's quite nice, this browny colour. So let's work with that as well. So some of you I saw did some beautiful nature art this week and last week, so well done to you. So we've gone from nature art to rubbish art, making art out of our rubbish. Alright, let's glue that down. And there we go. There is our finished, gorgeous artwork made out of recycled materials. Everything's out of my recycle bin. So we've got our cardboard box, we've got our Doritos packet, tin foil, old baking paper, soft plastics, potatoes bag, bubble wrap. Be interesting to see how many different materials you managed to use in yours. So well done, thank you for joining me, and I would love you to send me your pictures of what you created. So I'd love to see your swans or your ducks or whatever animal you kind of created, whatever bird you came up with. I would love to see. So please send me your photos, and I'd love to hear about how many different kinds of materials that you used to make your recycled artwork. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye.